Hello, good morning. It's just gone 9:30 AM on Monday the 28th of April, and you'll tell from the thumbnail I'm out on part 5 of the Athelstan Pilgrim Way. Today I'm going to visit 4 churches, well actually 3 churches and an abbey in one benefice. That's the Malmesbury and Upper Avon benefice. Going to try and complete that today. I've just left my hometown of Bath and I've ridden up about 11 miles along the Fossway, the Roman road that ran from Exeter to Lincoln. We're going to carry on up this way. We're going to start going off-road actually a lot of sections. Head up the Fossway north of Malmesbury and then start doing a big curl round. If I show you the route profile, you see it's a straight line, curl at the top, and then we come back this way. Then on the way back home, after we finish the benefice churches, I'm going to take you to a giant stone egg. It's a time capsule. That's if I can find it. It's coming up. I love coming along here. It is actually a fairly good surface to ride. I'd imagine you could just about do this on the road bike, narrow tyres. Obviously it's a lot easier. It feels much safer on my wider deep tread tyres. The Fossway, ladies and gentlemen. About 16.5 miles north of Bath, or should I say Aquasulis. Often when you see articles about people walking the Fossway or exploring it, they often show a picture of this section, just this slight rise with that tree. It kind of reminds me of that famous tree in the dip that was cut down illegally last year. You just see so many pictures of that whenever you read articles about the Fossway, or I have anyway. So whenever I come past this, it feels like an old friend. As Eric Clapton sang, "Hello old friend." I can't use that music, not be infringing copyright, but it's definitely going through my mind. As I say, I love coming along here, wondering what it may have been like 2,000 years ago. Hiya. Right.
You right?
Yeah, fine, thanks. So for those of you who have been following this series, the Athelstan Pilgrim Way is a 100-mile cycling and walking route linking the 6 benefices, that's the shaded areas in North Wiltshire, and there's 36 churches in total. Athelstan was the first king of United England, Anglo-Saxon king. And you can see here we are, the Fossway running right up alongside it. So it's an ideal way to get to and from some of the benefices, which is what we've done today. So I've already been to the Goresbrook benefice and the Draycott benefice. I need to revisit that for one church. And today I'm going to visit the Malmesbury and Upper Avon benefice. We're going to come off the Fossway very shortly. First church will be at Brokenborough, then Malmesbury Abbey, Rodbourne, Corston, and then I'm going to head up to near Foxley to try and locate this time capsule, a giant stone egg. So going to go up there very shortly. I think we're going to be turning right. We're going to turn right here. It looks like it becomes a country lane. Look, it goes really from farm track gravel to tarmac there. And our first church on today's quest, Brokenborough. And suddenly, transformation. Just feels like you're on a country lane that you could have been on for miles. These hedgerows, very Cotswoldy, and I've just seen, poking over it, a church spire. I'm pretty sure that's going to be Brokenborough, where we're heading. That was really nice. Fireman come along in his vehicle, stopped and had a chat, asked what I was doing, told him, and he said, "Oh, I don't know if you like your history. If you're heading up to Foxley to look for this egg," he hadn't heard of it either. He said, "You'll be on an old ancient road." He was saying originally they thought it was from the Middle Ages, and then they traced it back to Romans, and then they think it was pre-Roman, possibly Bronze or Iron Age. We're coming into a little village. I think this is Brokenborough. No boundary sign, but clearly a little settlement. And this would be where that church spire was, Brokenborough. That was really nice, just stopping in the middle of a country lane, chatting to the farmer about history, because he likes his history as well. I'm pretty sure I'll have never been down here, because this is actually a no-through road. Going the way I've come, it just literally intersects with a Foxway. Oh right, I think I'm going around to the right here. Oh, we're going up here. There's a dog leg off to the right. And there's the church there, I can see it right in front of us. So we now are definitely in the Malmesbury and Upper Haven benefice, and this is our first church in Church Lane. Pretty sure there must be a gate down there because the porch is there. How nice is this? That beep is just my Garmin telling me I've reached the end of that dog leg. Oh, this is so nice. In fact, we could have just carried on that road we were on without the dog leg. So that's the top of the hill. That was the dog leg I did down to the gate. We could have just carried on a bit further along, come in this entrance. Here we are, first of today's churches. Oh, and it looks like the church might be locked, so I can just see the stamp in there. I'm guessing access to church is limited with the stamp being out in the porch. I'll try the door, but I won't be surprised if it's locked. Yeah, whether they've had problems with heritage theft or not, I don't know. Okay, so first church, and we'll go through the ones we're visiting today. This is St John the Baptist at Brokenborough. Okay, St John the Baptist, Brokenborough, and it looks like the stamp is going to be grey. Press it down, there we go. First of today's 4 stamps. So when I first picked up this leaflet, you can see it looks a little bit complex. First thing I noticed was, well, look, it's got the Foxway going through it. I can get to some of these from Bath quite easily, as I've done today. Then it says about the 6 benefices, and I was trying to work out what the circuits were, the geographical areas with the clear boundaries and their different shadings. That's the benefices, for example, Goresbrook, Draycott, Malmesbury and Upper Avon we're in today. So they are the 6 benefices. So I've already been to Goresbrook, most of Draycott, apart from that one, I couldn't get in last week. Today we're going to finish this one, hopefully, all going to plan. My next trip, if this is part 5, 6 and 7, I hope is going to be a 2-day trip where I'm going to camp overnight. So come up the Foxway, start there, visit these benefices, and then come down and finish off that camping trip in the Woodbridge benefice, but not all of them. I need to revisit Kington Kellaway's there. That's the first one from the last video where I just couldn't get in the chapel, and I think the stamp's inside, so I need to come back and revisit that, and then I'll go and finish what I didn't do on the camping trip then. So today's stage 5, 6 and 7, 8. That's my plan. Whether it pans out that way, I don't know. Anyway, as usual, I can't get in the church, but I'm going to have a wander around the churchyard. Just come out from the porch, relock the gates for the porch. Elastic band hasp, postman's elastic band as well, I recognise that. I'm going to put my cap on, sunglasses, because it's already very, very warm and bright. I'll wander around the churchyard and I'll tell you what I've decided to do about Malmesbury today. Okay, wander around the churchyard. So it's only about a mile or so till we get into Malmesbury, and the Abbey's there, and I've never been in there. And I checked on the internet yesterday, and apparently admission is free, but they do ask for a donation. I don't really want to lock my bike up and go in there for a long time, so I'm going to come back and visit that on a bus trip, because there's also an Athelstan road. It's a street in Malmesbury, and there's also an Athelstan museum. Me and Linda are going to come up to Malmesbury for the day on the train and the bus, and we're going to visit. I'm going to visit the Abbey and the museums. She's probably going to have a quick look round and then look round the shops, and we're going to meet up for lunch, etc. So that way I can look to my heart's content without boring her, without having to worry about my bike getting stolen. You get the drift. So today I'm literally just going to go into Malmesbury Abbey, quickly get the stamp, move on. I'll show you Athelstan Road. It's just a residential street in Malmesbury. I've never noticed it before, but you know, the Garmin's going to take me down there, and then we'll go right past the museum, which is not open Mondays, but again it's free entry, and they just ask you for donation. Wooden tower, lovely, isn't it? Bird song. Okay, I had a good look around, so we're going to carry on that way, and I believe Malmesbury is about a mile. I'll see you as we come into Malmesbury, either at Malmesbury Abbey or at Athelstan Road. It's a residential street in Malmesbury itself. So I've just come in from that way, where that red van is, cut straight across St Aldham's Road, Athelstan Road. I was kind of expecting something like you get in Wales, you know, a street of ancient buildings, but it's not. It's just residential housing, post-war by the look of it. Kind of a slight letdown. Coming into the main area by the look of it. Ah, I know where we are now. We're coming in around the back of the Abbey into the top of the town. So a quick visit into the Abbey, I think, collect the stamp, and then we'll be on our way. As I said, I want to come back here, spend the whole day here, looking around. Me and Linda can have a really good day out without me worrying about having my bike stolen. But I think what I might do is pop in this side of the Abbey. So there we are. I actually had to ask them for it. They stamped it for me. Definitely deserves a couple of hours here. Not rushing it today. The roof is absolutely amazing. The main shopping street is just over the other side of these buildings. We've just come down Market Lane, Malmesbury Town Hall, and there's the Athelstan Museum. So I think this definitely warrants coming back for the day with Linda. So a good little recce actually. Quite looking forward to coming up here for the day actually. Probably going to go sometime towards the end of May or early June. Okay, now I need to head out of town. The next church is going to be Holyrood at Rodbourne. Okay, so once again, a little bit of Garmin got me up a back street, avoiding a steep hill on the main road. Only the GPS that discovered that. I didn't know it was there. Came out on this flat bit, and it's actually not that busy. Less than 3/4 of a mile. Plus, if it was busy ever, say rush hour, there's a pavement either side, which I would say would be perfectly okay to ride, because you're out in the country in effect. Within 1/2 to 3/4 of a mile, you turn off that A429 down towards Rodbourne. And our next church, lunch. And here it is, Church of the Holyrood. What a cracker that is. That looks very Norman. I'm going to have to read up and see what it says. On each of these Athelstan Pilgrim Way trips, I kind of lie in bed at night and go back over the day in my head, and I normally end up with a favourite church, and I think today this is going to be it, unless the next one's even more spectacular. Pilgrim passport and this wonderful church, and what looks like it's going to be a fantastic seat for lunch. Let's hope we can get in. Ah! Being all round the back, there's no access. I'm going to have my seat there in sun and a partial bit of shade. It's just getting too hot to sit directly in the sun. I thought maybe that handle, you can tell it's raising a latch, but the door definitely seems locked. Can you hear there's a latch going up? I'm guessing that would probably normally be open during the daylight hours. Maybe someone's forgotten to open it. I've just been through the guide to see if there's any special instructions about this church, you know, maybe contact a key holder, but there seems to be nothing whatsoever. So I'm wondering if it's supposed to be open and maybe just forgotten this morning. Again, it's another one I'm going to have to come back and revisit, isn't it? I've taken off my orange high-vis top, just getting far too hot. I'm in a short sleeve cycling top. I can see me having to take that off soon. I've just got an orange base layer on. No pockets in it or anything, but I think I'll be riding in that later this afternoon. So here is the walking guide that I've downloaded from the internet. As I said, I do want the hard copy of this. So you can see that straight line of the Fossway. I joined this route at the top there. That's where I saw the farmer. First church, down to Malmesbury. We're now down here. And I think Corston is along here somewhere near the road. Then I'm going to go back up. But I'm not going to go that way. I'm going to cut up to Foxley. Cut across here. Because I want to go and see that egg. I said earlier in this series, the printed guidebooks, there will be 6. At the moment there's only 4. And I want a hard copy of each of those. And the first church this morning wasn't open. Malmesbury Abbey, I just felt a bit like an interloper there. I was giving my stamp and sort of saying, oh, I will be back with my wife to look around. And I didn't want to buy it there, and I thought, well, I'll pick one up here and then make my donation on the internet. Even though they suggest a £4 donation on the internet, I've just been paying £10 because I value them. I'm enjoying this so much, so I was going to pick one up here, so hopefully we'll pick up this Malmesbury and Upper Avon guide number 1 at the next church, the 4th one today. You may see from the Garmin, I'm turning right here, and Corston, I believe, is in about a mile. There's even a portable loo in there, like a chemical flush one. Wonderful lich gate. Shame I couldn't get in. I'm pretty sure I'll be able to another day. Just look at that, ladies and gentlemen. What a church. I was half hoping by having my lunch there somebody might come by. If you wait around long enough, somebody normally comes by, don't they? One time I wanted them to, they didn't. Okay, reluctantly, it's time to leave Church of the Holy Rood, Rodbourne. So we're going to go out this way. Gosh, you've got this lovely wild garlic here, white on the ground, pink blossom in the tree, almost like autumnal colours on that one. And we're heading that way, back towards the A429. So it came south from Malmesbury. We've done a big loop down here, and we're going to cross it at Corston, I think. I will definitely be back here. Gosh, look at that. Can you see that? It looks like an old chapel of some type. Oh, the old school. Private residence now. There's one of the big concrete water towers over there. And we're heading down to Corston. Corston is where I hope I'll put my stamping mistake right from the very beginning of this project, so I'll explain when we get there. And also, hopefully if we can get access, I want to pick up a hard copy of guidebook number 1, this benefice. Once again, it feels like midsummer, not April. Long may this continue. Oh, and there's the boundary sign for Corston. I seem to recall from my route planning research, the church is actually on the junction of the main road. Gosh, I didn't realise Corston was so close to Rodbourne. Pretty sure we're going to go straight across the main road. Here's the 30-mile-an-hour speed sign. Coming into the main village itself here. Can't hear the main road, but I suspect we're just about to cross it, and that looks like it could be the church. We're going to go in this gateway here, I think. Hopefully avoid some steps. Let's hope we can get in this one. Or at least get in the porch and find the stamp. And the porch looks open. Oh, and then we can, there's the main road there, look, we literally are almost on the junction of the main road. Look, thieves beware. That's what I saw on the bell tower of the other church. I'm wondering if that might be the stamp in there. Nope. Maybe we can, oh, stamps there. Yeah, once again, no access, but there's the stamp. And here's the guidebook that I want. Last one. I've been trying to read off the internet, especially with the glare, just to see if there was anything obvious mentioned about access to the church, and all it says is if the churches are locked, you should find the stamps in the porch. Hey ho, that's what we've got here. So it doesn't seem that many weeks ago, but when I first came out to visit St Giles at Alderton, I knew it was on this route, and I thought, I'm not going to start another project. I've got several things on the go at the moment. When I saw the passport and the stamp, so I just thought, oh, I've got to. And I saw all this, it just looks like blurry images around the circles, and I just thought it was some kind of decorative motif. Silly, really, I should have realised. I couldn't read it, and so I just thought, oh, there's a stamp, and I put it in the first circle. It was only at lunch later on when I was looking at it with some reading glasses, I thought, ah, each one is actually separately listed. So my very first church, that was the stamp for St Giles at Alderton, should have been in here. So you probably get the gist. The stamp here should have been in there, All Saints Corston. I'm just going to reverse the two. So these two would be out of sequence. So I always knew I'd do that rather than restart it again. So this stamp, which is pink, should have gone in there, but I'm just going to put it in there where it says St Giles Alderton. There you go, very faint pink stamp. So these two are out of sequence. This is where we are, and there's the stamp where I should have put that one in. Right, now I've got the hard copy, I can show you this benefice circuit, so you can clearly see the straight line of the Fossway cutting right through its boundary. And here we are now at Corston. And then we're pretty much going to do what the walking route does, except we're going to do a cycling route. So this is all across fields. We're going to go back towards the Fossway. I'm going to cut through Foxley, which is in the Goresbrook benefice, I believe. That's where I'm going to try and ride up a farm track, cross over this brook, and try and find this big egg. There it is, the Jubilee Egg near Foxley. This is the walking guide. So they came off there, that's near the Roman settlement, that's where it crossed the Fossway crosses the River Avon. And then this walking route goes around that wood there. This is all footpaths, cross fields. And reading it, it said the egg is just before that little brook. And then immediately after it says after the egg, cross the brook, go down to the road. So we're going to be coming in up here. There's Foxley Church. I'm going to overshoot it. I'm going to take that track up there. And my reckon is it should just be north of that brook. But I street viewed that yesterday. It wasn't clear to see, but it just looks like a private residence. but clearly it must be a footpath access through there, so that's what we're going to do. Going to try and find that egg about there, I hope, if my reckoning is right. First of all, we got to get across the main road, head up towards Foxley. Now that was the way we came in. Got a booklet and a stamp, and I've kind of corrected my mistake from the very first church, and then we're going to leave via this gate and then hopefully cut across that main road, or at least not be on it for very long. Oh look, there's a memorial cross there, First World War. Quite often get those crosses, memorial crosses outside churches. See lots of poppies around it. You can see from this direction it is an open bell tower with twin bells in. You can see the crossbeam going across and the two small exposed bells. Now I'm hoping we either cross this road or we're not on it very long. We're going to go right, I think, and then shortly left. Well, because we're going left shortly, I think I might try and pavement this. I think there's a left up there past these lights. In fact, this might be a good place to get across. Oh, that's not too bad. We're going left here. Excellent. Mill Lane. So look, right next to one of the streams. Whether that's the Gauls or one of the tributaries for the Avon, I'm not sure. Instantly on some nice quiet lanes. Well, according to my Garmin, I've just overshot my route. Is that it down there? This looks like it's going into someone's property. Oh no, maybe it is just a track. Oh, this is quite nice. Farm track. Anything to avoid that busy A429. And there's a sharp left up here. Oh, what's that there? I've just passed something. I'm just riding along here. I'm busy looking at the Garmin because I know there's a very sharp left-hand turn coming up. I started to, oh, what's that? So I've come back to have a look. It's the Corston Quarry and Pond Local Nature Reserve. Oh right, there's even a leaflet there telling you about it. I might pick one of those up actually. This says, Local Nature Reserve. Welcome to this fascinating little reserve with its abundance of wildlife. Owned by St Paul, Malmesbury, without parish council. It is managed by the local community for people and wildlife. Operating in the early 1900s, the upper layers of quarried stone were burnt to produce lime for agriculture and crust to service gateways and cattle yards. When quarrying ceased, the deepest part filled with clean groundwater to become a pond, which is now very important for great crested newts and toads. The limestone grassland is grazed by rabbits. The scrub provides nesting sites for birds such as bullfinch. Oh, wow. And here we are. Gosh, what a beautiful little place. I was so busy looking at my device because I don't really know where I'm going. Look at that lovely wildlife pond. Ah, and the bird life here. Oh, this is definitely worth coming back to, I think, on a different occasion. Well, I need to come back to Rodbourne anyway. But meantime, I don't really know where I'm going. I'm just following the straight line on my GPS device. And that's what I love. I know it goes where I want it to take me because I did it on the computer yesterday. But now I'm on the road, it just feels like I'm exploring. Well, I could be in a different country for all I know. This just seems so unfamiliar. Right, along here, turn left. Okay, so we're going left here. Oh gosh, just to cut through to a minor road by the look of it. We're back on tarmac. And it looks vaguely familiar. Wow, that was nice. What a brilliant little cut through that is. Oh yeah. Oh, we were barely on tarmac and now we're back on gravel. Farm tracks by the look of it. I do remember when I was planning this on the computer yesterday or the day before, I remember thinking, oh gosh, that's a lot of off-road towards the end. So I was aware of it. And that's the view as I go along. Gosh, an old raw milking tin. Main road. There was the country lane over there, which I was on. Now we're just riding along this track up towards Foxley, which itself is not far from Malmesbury. So in many ways we left Malmesbury to come south, only to be vaguely heading back towards it. Opened up a bit this track. We're on a slightly raised embankment, I think, because either side of us are little ditches. You may not see it, but there's rows and rows of bluebells along that side. Seem to thrive in moist soil, don't they, with shade. And I need to be careful along here, holding the camera here with one hand. It's getting quite bumpy. I can see we're vaguely heading towards some farm buildings, so my kind of logic says where there's buildings there'll probably be a road. But I'm loving this, especially the bits of shade. So these are just tracks between different farm buildings that the farmers use. Look in good condition and well used. Oh, this is nice. This is quite welcome, this shade under this tree canopy. That's looking north. Wow, this is beautiful. Just kind of want to stop and take this in, really. We're still slightly raised. You can tell there's ditches either side. But wow, look at that. Looking back, it's the way we've come. And somewhere along here, ladies and gentlemen, is Foxley, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the egg. I've just come across this bench and I thought, I wonder if that's the one that the leaflet refers to. I came across it when I was reading the leaflet online over lunch, and it says there's a wonderful seat along here to break your journey, and inscribed on it, it says, "Sit here, yonder be King's Heath." King's Heath, ladies and gentlemen. Stunning. The Athelstan Pilgrim Way. It's just a gift that just keeps on giving. It just, well, it does. Suddenly, that track in the middle fields just became a farm track. Went past the farm, and then almost as instantly, just became tarmac. We're back on a minor road. So this is a no-through road going that way. I'm just loving this, following the Garmin, seeing where I'm going. We just came in from the left there, no through road. There's a brown sign towards the pub there. So we came in from the left, joined this road, and I instantly know where we are. Foxley Church is just in front of us, I can see it from here. So we're going to go up to T-junction, head along towards it, Just before we get there, that's where the farm track, I hope, up to the Egg is. We'll see. So within a few hundred yards, we're coming into Foxley. So on part 2 of this Athelstan Pilgrim Way, we came up here. We'd taken the Foss Way up and then left it near Grettleton and visited Norton, which is behind us now, and then we came up to this T-junction and then we turned right there, went to that church there. About half a mile further along we went to that little chapel, smallest church in England apparently, and somewhere along here there's a bridleway going off. I need to look for this. Oh, left and then right, left and then right, so it's this way. And then after this dog leg we'll be going back up to the Foss Way. That farmer I spoke to this morning told me this road used to be an ancient road. They thought it was from round about the era of King Charles, and then they realised it was probably earlier, Roman, and then further research, he was saying, showed it was Bronze Age, possibly Iron Age, an ancient track. So that road will take back to the Foss Way, which would make sense if the Romans had used it. So this really is a bumpy track around the edge of a field, and hopefully along here we're going to drop down, cross a little brook, and that's where the Egg would be. I kind of wonder why they chose along here, but I'm sure all will be revealed when we get there, in one piece I hope. So literally just riding across a track, not much more than a pair of tyre tracks across this middle of this cropped field. And it does feel like actually there's a defined line we're coming up to. As earlier, you can sense we're coming up to a little dip. Can you see that line of trees along there? And it carries there. It just feels like there's that fold in the land that you're going to dip down and come up the other side. So hopefully we're homing in on that Egg. I've gone back to the POV, the chest camera. I'm going to have an accident if I try and film along here one-handed with a selfie stick. Can you see it? Feels like we're going to drop down. Yep, there's a bit of water there, pond or a ford is it? And by all accounts this Egg is just beyond this. Gosh, thank goodness for disc brakes. Oh, I see, there's a little bridge to avoid the ford. Garmin is telling me I'm coming up towards the end of my track. I can see a wall up there. Is that it? I know it is built into a wall, and there's a wall coming up. Is that the wall? I just don't know. I really am at the end of my track now. The GPS track. That's the alarm just telling me I'm overshooting, but I think I need to in this case. There's something coming up. I don't know. Get bumpy. I would hate to ride by and miss it. Now I've got the guidebook, if I'm really unsure, I can read up and see what they tell the walkers to look for. There's a, oh, I think that's it. Yes, it is. That's it there. Just as you rise up through this gate and the track curls round, to head on up that way. There's a little rest seat there. Here we are, just in the corner of this field and the wall. There's a plaque there saying 2012. So it was planned to mark and commemorate the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. And it says, the greatest secrets are always hidden in the most unlikely places. Oh, that's Roald Dahl. Yeah, that's right. It was a quote from an author. And there it is. And as I understand it, it was done to commemorate the Queen's Diamond Jubilee, which kind of ties in with Athelstan, because it will be his 1100th anniversary on September the 4th this year. And they came up with making a time capsule from dried stone walling, and they got all the young people from the community to sort of join in and just take part, and they had craftspeople come round to do it and show the young children how to do it and what they should put in it as a time capsule. And they even had workshops with some of the children to inscribe their names on some of the stones. So there's a lot of children in there that will have their names buried in there somewhere. And inside has a time capsule. They want to put mementos from the year 2012 in, so there's a mobile phone. And I was thinking about this last night. What were the mobile phones like in 2012? Were they smartphones yet? Or yeah, I think they probably were. They certainly weren't the boxes with the expandable aerials, were they? So there's some newspapers, there's children's names in there, other things, but newspapers. It was the mobile phone that caught my eye, really. I just started wondering what sort of phone that would be. And they talked to one of the craftspeople who built that, because it's obviously been done in the style of dry stone walling, and he was saying the bottom bit, the coming out curve, was really, really difficult, because obviously like natural forces are trying to pull it down, so they actually had to heavily wire it inside to stop it collapsing. And then once they got on the upward slope, kind of gravity's working with it, isn't it? It's like the arch on a building or a railway arch. The forces are actually of gravity are actually holding it together. Apparently even a skilled craftsman was saying the bottom half was really difficult to do. So you can imagine there, with children being involved, young people, they must have just learnt so much through that. I'm actually so glad I found it. So how high is it? My peak of my cap comes to about there, and I'm 5'8", so 6 feet, possibly 7 feet high. That wonderful inscription and the seat there. There are some houses over there. Do you know, I'm beginning to wonder, that's right, it was between two communities. It was a joint project. So you got Foxley there, where we've just come from, and there's the other community there. Can't remember what the joint community was. I'll put it on the screen now. I'm just wondering if they chose this spot because it's equidistant, halfway between the two. That's just a guess, I don't know for sure. Okay, I think this is a good place to wrap up the video for here. So I'm just going to be heading from Foxley along to the Fossway and then riding back to Bath that way. Anyway, from the middle of this field, deepest, darkest Wiltshire, halfway between there and that village, I'm heading back to Fossway, going back towards Bath. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye for now.